Hello and welcome back to Football Match Daily. We're here with RCV and Chelsea Fan TV. He's Ankit, and we've had a few mutual shows with him, but this is the first time he's come on our show, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Ankit. Um,
Oh, it's definitely my pleasure. Definitely my pleasure. Definitely like Videep said, like we've had a few meetings, but RCB and Chelsea Fan TV, I think, definitely respects the work that Football Match Daily does and follows Football Match Daily for a good while now. And we've had a lot of interactions, a lot of banter as well. But, it's all about respecting each other's opinions. And of course, talking about Ayush, there is a soft corner there for the Chelsea, side, but definitely looking forward to the chat. And I hope that everyone, likes, what I speak as well, definitely.
I'm sure we will.
I think we should begin. For anyone who doesn't know, we're here. I think we're continuing our off the pitch series. We're renewing it for season 2 now officially. So congratulations on that. And Premier League match day 1 review, sorry, and match day 2 preview. So we've got the results of match day 1 here. The first game of the Premier League did not leave us for surprise. It was Brentford versus Arsenal, and Arsenal being Arsenal did not leave it to the result. I mean, Brentford won that game 2-0 and was a convincing win that too. And for whoever who caught the game, Brentford were all over the pitch. Brentford deserved the win. Whoever did not, the result says it all. Ankit, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, as in, that was something which really kicked off things, because I think that the fact that the crowd was there, and of course, like the story of Brentford is, untold. Like, that's not something of a secret now. Having said that, like, whatever the crowd may be and whatever, Brentford's, as in psyche about the game is coming back to the Premier League after so many years, right? As in, it's literally been decades, not even years. So we are talking about Arsenal here, and them not living up to the expectation is so Arsenal. And of course, it's maybe the crowd factor as well, because they're all coming back after so long with all the crowd being there. So I think that was a major factor, but it tells us what was missing in the Premier League for so long, and really looking forward to see a lot of such games, especially with the promoted sides.
Next game we had another great game, I would say. A little bit of a repeat of what happened last season at Old Trafford itself. Man United 5, Leeds United 1. Last season it was Man United 6, Leeds United 2. But this season, Bruno Fernandes hat trick, Paul Pogba hat trick of assists, maybe 4 assists if I'm not wrong, and Fred getting a goal too. Ole was slandered when he added Fred in the starting 11, but then Fred got a goal. So that came as a surprise to a lot of them. But Leeds, a disappointing result when in the first game of the season. They had high expectations of them, especially from what happened last season. And is this Ankit, I'm going to just ask you this question. We know what happened in the game. Will we be seeing the same Leeds as last season?
Probably not. The energy that they kept up for whole of last season, not in last season, the season before that, when they were not promoted. Remember, they did very well in the championship. So keeping that energy for third season running will not be the case. But I think the hopes kind of lie with Calvin Phillips. If he can, replicate the form he had in the Euros and of course last season, probably that'll give them confidence. But honestly, not. Like, I don't see that happening.
Are you your thoughts on the same question?
Yeah, I don't think Leeds. I predicted in the video that Leeds are going to do very well, but after the first game, I was expecting them to be more defensively strong after the signing, and I was disappointed, to be honest, because it's always nice to see Manchester United lose, especially at Old Trafford. So yeah, I hope they can come back to their original form, and I think they will actually.
From that game, that same evening, we had 5 games that were on simultaneously. The next 5 games, that's Leicester Wolves. That was 1-0 to Leicester.
That celebration.
Jamie Vardy doing a typical Jamie Vardy celebration, howling back at the Wolves fans. He's a Premier League. He's a classic Premier League player. That guy.
He's more like the Premier League fan,
Yeah. Then moving on to the result, maybe the two of you are more keen to look at Chelsea 3, Crystal Palace 0. A great start,
Definitely.
your own academy player debuting and scoring a goal. I mean, both of you, maybe Ayush first, talk me through how that feeling was. An academy player scoring on his debut, a centre back that too.
I wanted Kunde. Tuchel said in the conference that Chalobah was amazing. I didn't really trust him at first. First we saw him in the game, right? And we kept he was good that day as well. And then in his Premier League debut, he scored a goal. That was really amazing. Like it was a decent goal. There was nothing. It was kind of the keeper's fault as well. But I absolutely loved the clean sheet and the goal. It's the dream.
Yeah,
Okay.
then I'd like to echo there with Ayush. Having said that, like it's ironical, right, that we had Mark Gehi, who was sold to Crystal Palace, and a lot of our own fans, including me, said that, hey, what's happening? Like the loan system again is something just for business.
The Tomori
But
thing. I
then
was so pissed at Chelsea for Tomori.
exactly, Tomori. And talking about these are two cases, right? So Gehi playing for Crystal Palace, doing average, I would say, in the game, and Chaloba kind of stood out. But Tomori, it's kind of deja vu. I did tweet, just I think as in when I think Chaloba was, in that moment, I tweeted that, hey, this is actually deja vu with Tomori scoring against Wolves a couple of years ago. And that wonder goal, that initial goal that you score, and then the team is behind you, it was that. But yes, I would like to say Ayush is slightly better than just okay, but it was I think fantastic goal. Like to be very
Yeah.
honest, right? Especially for such a youngster to take that shot, because what Chelsea was lacking, I think, in recent seasons was the fact that we didn't take enough shots. I know it's just a one game and one goal, but Chaloba proves that, hey, it's more to do with play with, and not just the names, because he did, I think, okayish in Lorient last season, but who knows, that he could be the surprise weapon that Chelsea have. But I think the person who kind of was hidden behind the shadows of Chaloba for this game was Alonso. Out of all the people, Marcos Alonso is suddenly coming to his top form, and he has this thing, right? Whenever the transfer window is nearing the end, he does fantastically well, and hopefully this time he can keep up, because I can see the energy coming. So yeah, it can only get better with obviously we're going to speak about the next game, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Does Marcus Alonso realistically replace Ben Chilwell?
To be honest, he
In
could. If he can keep that up, he's amazing for attacks. He's decent defensively, not as good as Chilwell in defense, but for attacks, he's the perfect wing back. To be honest, for a five defender formation, he's perfect. If he can
Right.
keep that up.
Absolutely. And obviously, the free kick goal that he took, right? As in, it's not a one off. He's done that on numerous occasions. And we don't, of course, in Ziyech's absence, he'll be crucial. We don't have a left footed, free kick taker. Of course, Giroud is no longer there, right? And Havertz doesn't take free kicks really. So it's down to Marcos Alonso taking those free kicks with the left foot. So that's, I think, yeah, that can be used.
Talking about Giroud not being there, Abraham has also left. So
Yeah.
that was kind of, I didn't really I understood why they did that, but obviously
See,
feel
I
bad
mean,
for
we
the
all
player.
saw it coming, but then emotionally it all
Yeah,
rockets down
it
the
does.
moment when it is announced, right? So I understand how you feel there. But I think we've covered a lot about Chelsea already. So moving on to the next game, a surprise already. And people were hyping up Aston Villa so much after their signings, and they played their first game against a newly promoted side, and Watford hit three against them. Aston Villa did get a late push through in the 85th minute plus, getting those two goals back, but then Watford had just enough to pull that game back to them. 3-2 to Watford, a surprise result for me. And Aston Villa need to be better defensively. They've got Emiliano Martinez, and who's now a Copa America winner too, who's had a brilliant Premier League season, and he needs to be better. His defense needs to be better. Tyrone Mings, he's spoken about his mental health. Maybe that's what, maybe that affected him, maybe not. We really cannot comment about that. But Aston Villa need to be better defensively. That's what I take away from that game. Then we had Everton versus Southampton. I think this was a result people were expecting. It wasn't a shock. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously the star player, Richarlison getting a goal too. So that sums up Everton versus Southampton. I wouldn't like to praise South Everton too much too, because I'm a Liverpool fan there. But all bias kept aside, the Everton probably deserved it. They were the better team on paper. Then we had Burnley versus Brighton, one of the dull games of the week, and Brighton pulled it away, which gives me some confidence because we play Burnley next week, coming week. And then the Norwich versus Liverpool game, a great game for Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk back for the Liverpool side. Liverpool scoring 3. The same story, Mo Salah and Diogo Jota, Roberto Firmino. Then I think one of the more entertaining games, Newcastle versus West Ham. This game was a roller coaster, if I'm not wrong. Newcastle scored 1, West Ham pulled 1 back. Then Newcastle got 2, West Ham pulled back again. And then West Ham just skyrocketed with that league. Michael Antonio and drama. I think if Spurs versus City wasn't the game of the week, then probably this one, because it was just so entertaining. And I think Newcastle isn't the team that we really look down upon, because I predicted them to get relegated. But I mean, and most of the people expected them to fight relegation. So are Newcastle the team that we should actually not be considering for relegation, Ankit?
Yeah, I think like you hit the nail on the head. Like Newcastle definitely is right up there in terms of the strong candidate being relegated. But again, like we are a new season. It all depends upon. I think the crowd. We're talking about Newcastle crowd, as in it could really back you, but go against you as well. Like especially with the owners that Newcastle have. So depending upon how the first few games go, it'll probably tell that how the season is going to go, because Newcastle, I think, of course, your own club, Liverpool. Like there are a few clubs who are so different when the crowd is there and the fans are there, and I would say Newcastle definitely is in that sea. But having said that, West Ham, as much as they did a great comeback, like I again don't see them, replicating what they did last season because of Mikel Antonio. I don't see him being so fit, and of course they have Europa League, so that'll be interesting as well. But yeah, certainly I would say that one of the top matches of the weekend.
Actually, for
Continue.
Vidit, you are saying that we don't want, you don't know if Newcastle will get relegated now. You're a Premier League fan for years now. Do you really think you can judge the league from one game against West Ham?
I really don't. But then the game I saw, that too without Joe Willock, there's the star signing of the transfer window. And they had promise. I mean, Joel Linton, maybe not the most consistent player, not Joel Linton, I'm sorry, Alan St. Maximin, maybe not the most consistent players of the league. But on his best day, we saw what he could do. I think England's main defensive midfielder, Declan Rice, was left standing as St. Maximin scored that goal. And if he can keep up that consistency, then maybe, just maybe, Newcastle have a chance to stay up. But as Ankit mentioned, maybe this is not the West Ham we're going to see from the previous year, Ayush.
Yeah, true.
I think the last game of the week, Spurs versus City. City dominated from the minute go. And the first half, City dominated. Then up till I think the 50th, 55th minute, City dominated. But then that one move, that one counter attack that we saw flourish so well under Jose Mourinho, that Harry Kane usually architected. But then Lucas Moura right from the box to Dele Alli to Son with a brilliant finish. I think that summed up City's game, and they're weak now that their kit has come out. But but the game, Spurs, this is Nuno's Spurs. Is this the Spurs that can challenge for Europe without Harry Kane? Because Harry Kane was absent for this game. Ankit.
Yeah, so for me, like you said, like Lucas Moura and Son, right? As in these are the two main people. Again, like the Harry Kane saga is something that Spurs cannot avoid. But I was actually impressed with the way they actually, were just working on the field, right? So that shows that they are behind Nuno, as in obviously new manager syndrome comes into picture as well. So we cannot read too much into what happened. But every time I think Spurs counterattack, like you said, as they did under Mourinho, they actually look like scoring. So that's something that they have developed, not just under Nuno. I think it's also because of what happened in the last year and a half, right? So that is something that if Spurs can continue that trend, like they can possibly challenge. But again, like they are definitely depending so much on Son and Lucas Moura in case Harry Kane obviously is not there. So that's what I would say. So that's why I would still put them in the Europa League bracket at best.
The only thing I want to say is that you guys need to start listening to me. You guys always do this. I called it. You guys laughed again, and but again I was also surprised because I was not sure that Spurs were gonna do it, but they did, and Son was amazing. They did it without Harry Kane, which is even better. Bad for my FPL, but yeah, better for us the neutral fans.
So moving on, now that we've got our review of the first game week done, let's talk about what we have to come in the second week of the Premier League.
Wait a second. I think we didn't really talk about the three important players throughout the week: Pogba, Fernandes, and Salah. I think we need to cover that because Chinmay will be triggered if we don't.
Yeah, I mean, just because of he's not here in this video.
Yeah.
So speaking of the three most important players, you mentioned them. Paul Pogba was brilliant, was probably his day. Maybe Ole told him this was the French national team he was playing for, maybe something like that. But that was one hell of a performance from Paul Pogba. What a game. He was at the right place at the right time throughout the 90 minutes. I mean, until he was subbed out. But and then obviously Bruno Fernandes, first game week hat trick, and Mohamed Salah breaking records again. 5 continuous seasons where he scored in the first game week, and influential in the Liverpool too. So that was covering our 3 most important players. Moving on now to the second game week, we kick things off with the Liverpool Burnley game at Anfield, which means that we'll have the Anfield crowd atmosphere back. And this is the one I'm looking for because this is the one that ended our 60-some game unbeaten streak at Anfield. And this is the one where we get revenge. And this is where the fans get their revenge for that loss.
No, so, Daesh is gonna slap Klopp on the sidelines, and we all be clapping him, seeing him do that.
Okay, but I'd go for 4-0 Liverpool. Ayush.
Well, I was kidding. Obviously, I won't mess up my prediction just to hype up Pradeep. I'll go with 3-0 win for Liverpool.
Okay. Yeah, then that's I think probably more expected, but I think Burnley, considering the first game, I think, and they're playing Liverpool at Anfield, they'll go very tight, and I feel like still Liverpool will get the better of them and score a couple of goals. I'll go 2-0, continuing the trend.
I'm more interested in the next game, to be honest.
I mean, these are the 2 teams that scored 2 goals each in the first game week, and both were on the losing side. So that shows you the levels that they are performing at. But Aston Villa may be more disappointing. Newcastle still have the star signing yet to play for them. We don't know if he will start. But Aston Villa probably have the most fit set of players, the better team on paper. But I really cannot decide if this game gets a winner. So I'd go for 1-1 between the 2.
Oh, I think Aston Villa's bad game has ended, and this is going to be an easy win for them. So I'll go with a clean sheet, 2-0.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Ayush there because like he's right. Like Aston Villa, the game that they had first time, they'll probably be better prepared in the first half, and I can probably see a 3-0 win even, right? Aston Villa have the attackers for that.
When we move on to Crystal Palace versus Brentford, this would be a tricky game for Brentford because we saw the atmosphere at Brentford Stadium against Arsenal in the first game. So that goes both ways, right? Now that they're playing away, they have to be the minority. They are going to be the players who will be booed at. So this one's a tricky fixture for Brentford, but thankfully for them, they have an easier tricky fixture against Crystal Palace. Yeah. This is another game I really don't know which way it could go. I'd go 1-0 Brentford because even Tony and Mbeumo together are wreaking havoc, and they wreaked havoc against Ben White and the rest of the Arsenal defense. I'd go 1-0 Brentford.
I'll go
I,
with a repeat of the last result, a 2-0 win for Brentford, as I obviously will not side with our London rivals, and we just beat them 3-0. So I don't think Crystal Palace will really be in the shape to compete with Brentford.
Wow. So, like, I have a different take, right? Other than, I think among all, like, no disrespect to the Liverpool crowd and, of course, Chelsea and everyone else, right? But I think Palace atmosphere is right up there, like, among the best. So, for me, I think that will probably, be something that Brentford wouldn't have faced, even though they are from Championship, where they would have faced over the years, but not last year. So, I see this probably being a very cagey match because of such a reason, and I actually go for a 0-0 draw, but a great atmosphere and a great watch.
and another game that has a potential to be probably the highest scoring game of the week. I mean, that is the case with every Leeds game, but then this one especially because Everton are coming from a goal and from a game where they scored 3, whereas Leeds come from a game where they just scored 1, but could have probably scored more. But I think we forgot to mention that one goal from Leeds. What a goal that was by Luke Hilling, by the way, if anyone managed to catch it. But moving on, this game, Leeds Everton 3-2. I'd go for Everton.
Oh,
I don't getting the Everton win, but Leeds seem shaky this season. Maybe Ellen Road Premier League for the first time, probably a better atmosphere. But Everton, maybe Luca Dean, and I mean, I think they just have a better team. So 3-2 Everton.
I'm very surprised with Vidip's prediction. I thought I'd been surprised because he's going with Everton, who he's hating probably because of Liverpool. But even more, I'm surprised for how has he dropped his love for Leeds. We needed Siddhant in this video. He's not been here since a while, and we'll have to get him next time. I as I said, I really want Leeds to get back to their form and come back. And I think they will make a comeback here. I am not expecting a high scoring game, to be honest. I think it will be, they make a lot of chances, but they won't really convert. So I'll go with a 2-1 win for Leeds.
Okay, so I actually see a high scoring one as well, like Vidip, referred to, but it's kind of strange, right? With Rafa Benitez, being there, that's not something that you associate with him. But having said that, I think Everton and neither Leeds have like that level of defense, and of course, being the crowd at Ellen Road, I think it'll only pump them more to go attack and probably make more mistakes. So I can see a 3-2, result as well, but in Leeds' favor.
Makes sense. Then we have Man City versus Norwich, and Norwich just don't have easy fixtures. I mean, they really have, the Premier League hasn't cut them any slack, and I don't see Man City.
They have Arsenal very soon. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I think that's where they cut them some slack. But this is one game that after the Spurs fixture, Man City cannot drop if they were to go on to continue to get to the Premier League title. So 5-0 Man City.
Wow, 5-0. I'm kind of starting to hate Man City because I thought we were the only big spenders and we would there. So I'll go with the Man City win. Of course, Norwich would be a big leap. So 2-0 for Man City.
Yeah, even I'm kind of tending towards going towards Ayush's scoreline because Man City, as much as they were passing in the last game, I don't see them scoring so many this early in the season. And Norwich, to me, in the first half, Vidip, they look good against Liverpool. Especially I think Cantwell is awesome, and I have the bias for Billy the Goat more. He will definitely turn up, and he did have some very good passes. So hopefully he would have learned from his time at Chelsea. I think Man City get a 3-0 win at best. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and we shouldn't forget that Man City always have a rough and iffy starts in the league, and then they usually make a comeback after the first 3 to 4 weeks, especially last season.
I have probably a somewhat useless statistic, but the last time the last time Norwich were up in the Premier League, and Man City played them the first time. Norwich got the better of Man City. So that's something to keep in mind if it really
Yeah,
matters.
I think we will have a lot of statistics like that. The last time Liverpool's first game was Norwich, they won the league. So we
Oh,
can't
wow.
really
Again,
go into that.
Yeah, Timo Pukki time maybe. Let's hope.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, we're all hoping for him to open his scoring banks, but Brighton versus Watford next, and seeing the way Watford performed against Aston Villa, however defensively poor they were, I'd lean towards a Watford win because Brighton, however good Graham Potter is tactically, do not have the defensive stability as we've seen over the last couple of years. I think people would argue with my point here, but I stand with it. Um, a tight game, maybe Watford 1-0. That's all I can take away from this game.
As I said, the Aston Villa, I thought they'll come back and come back to their best. The same way I think Watford will go back to their worst. And Brighton will win this game 1-0 for me.
Yeah, I think it's but obvious that I go for a draw, right? Because it's like two extremes. But I actually was anyway going for a draw because, like you guys mentioned, it's about the inconsistencies that both these teams have, and hopefully, you will see. I don't know if Danny Welbeck is he fit? I'm not sure about that, but if he is fit, then probably I can see him kind of getting better off. Obviously he's played for Arsenal, so that makes him kind of a rival for Watford. But hopefully, he'll come up and I can see 1-1 draw.
Two things I had to mention. Ismaila Sarr was brilliant against Aston Villa. So he might pose an attacking threat too against Brighton. And the other thing is that Brighton are our expected goals team. So you can expect goals from there, but see them reach the net. So those are my 2 points from the game too. Next, we have Southampton versus Man United, an infamous game already. The 9-0 comes in mind from.
Wow.
And Southampton must be really afraid to play Man United after, especially what happened in the first game, right? And this is where Man United's title dreams already come crashing down. 1-1 Southampton Man United 1-1.
Oh, okay. I think Man United will continue their amazing form and not score 5 goals or 9 goals, but 3-0 win for Man United. I think Southampton are going out of the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I would probably not agree with Irish's going down in Premier League yet because Southampton, like again, many other clubs may not know. I think Irish may be aware for sure, but Livramento, their wing back, and Broja, the striker, for me, come the second half of the season, you'll see them flourishing, and hopefully they would have got enough draws till then. But yeah, this game is definitely not going to be a draw. Like Vidit said, although I hope, I see Man United. Definitely scoring a couple of goals at least, so 2-0 or 2-1. 2-1 is what I'll go for optimistically.
Then we move on to Wolves versus Spurs, where Nuno already faces against
yeah,
and he would have hoping for some inevitability, and he's already got it. But I think Wolves versus Nuno is the game's right call. But then if we look at Spurs' game against City, we really saw Spurs base their attacking chances a little um, because Son was basically expected to do was Harry Kane was doing right from the half line. So basically build up the play and then get back into those attacking positions. And he failed to do that, in my opinion, a little bit. And up until the halftime mark, I think Spurs were being carried by Lucas Moura. So Wolves, not the. It's my hot take that Wolves go down this season, but another draw because it's Spurs, to be honest, and 0-0.
I can see the Wolves thing happening actually. It is a hot take still, but yeah, I won't be very surprised by it. And I think Spurs are getting a clean sheet win here, 2-0. And I don't really agree with the Son one. I think he was good, decent at center forward. Like he should be better because of his reputation. But I think you are expecting a bit more from him than he really can, because he's actually a winger. That was the first time he's actually playing center forward.
True, fair.
Yeah, then then I can see Spurs doing a Spurs, like just that great win that they got last week, and now again coming back. But yeah, I can see a one-all draw because I think again hopefully Wolves for them, Jimenez will be coming to form. I don't know, like it'll take time for sure, but I can see them knowing Nuno's game well and getting that odd nick of a goal. But yeah, I can see a one-all.
But it works the other way around as well. Nuno will also be
Yeah,
aware
yeah,
of the, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Then we move on to the probably the game of the week, Arsenal versus Chelsea, and you can see by the color of the shirt I'm wearing which team I'm going to be supporting.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really expect anything from Arsenal. I expected Brentford to at least pick up
If you're really
Arsenal in the
supporting
first place.
Chelsea, if you're really supporting Chelsea, stop talking. I did this last time in both the fixtures and I regretted it badly. So let's just not
I
jinx
was
it.
coming to that. To be honest, I was coming to that.
Yeah,
Arsenal are Chelsea's one weak point. They lost both times last season.
yeah.
That momentum is the only thing that could get Arsenal a point at least. But Arsenal win almost impossible. Chelsea, if Lukaku plays 3-0 from the beginning, but if Lukaku comes from the bench or does not feature, then 2-0.
I don't really want to predict this game. I'm just gonna say Chelsea's gonna smoothly sail across Arsenal and win this game.
Yeah, then I hope I could go with that, Ayush. But honestly, Arsenal, what they are, and of course they are in the stadium, right? There'll be a lot of negative energy, and knowing Arsenal, that will only pump them, right? And then I can see them kind of going behind the rocks and defending for the lives and getting a goal. But I see us, like you said, like if Lukaku plays, I think he'll definitely play. I believe he'll start as well, and
Yeah.
we'll at least get one goal of him and one other goal, with the form that the players are in. So 2-1 is what I'm going for. Chelsea, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Then I think this could also potentially be one of the highest scoring games of the week with West Ham and Leicester both playing. And I think more scoring on Leicester's part. They struggled a bit at Wolves, but West Ham defensively, we saw them concede a lot already. And I think Leicester, with the attack they have, if Patson Daka really plays from the beginning, maybe supports Jamie Vardy, because Madison isn't 100% fit. Let's be honest, Madison is never 100% really fit. So if Madison was not to feature, and maybe if Brendan Rodgers went with the two up front, then Leicester could score a way more. But either ways, West Ham to lose this one, 2-1 to Leicester City.
I am going to go with a draw. I am expecting. I was disappointed by Leicester in the first game. To be honest, I think they should have done more. Although I love the celebration, but I think it's going to be a draw and a 1-all.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because even Leicester have, like you said, like, made a couple of signings, and Madison, not being there, that's been on for the entire summer. But going by the first game, I think as much as we said that Fofana is injured, that's something which will hamper Leicester. I still see them, defending well, and I can see them getting two counter-attacking goals, and West Ham, kind of going for the attack, and that's what I see. 2-0 Leicester City is what I would say.
I think that sums up our predictions, to be honest, and it was a lot quicker than I expected it to. I think only one controversial game of the Arsenal Chelsea game that comes in. Otherwise, set up easy fixtures with the other big teams. But it was great having you, Ankit. If you have any last words to say, I mean, I made it sound like you're dying, but anything to before we end for this week?
Well, no, absolutely not. I'm actually buzzing. How can I be like? It's Arsenal versus Chelsea, and the start that we've had, plus the fact that we just signed Lukaku. Fantastic news, and this is probably the best time being a Chelsea fan. Like, I'm sure Ayush should agree
Yeah.
more with me. But yeah, again, thanks for having me. RCP and Chelsea Fan TV is always kind of asking you guys to come on as well, and we would love to do more streams together. And yeah, throughout the season, of course, a lot of banter, hopefully from the Chelsea side to the Liverpool side, and more. But definitely, great stream this, and we'll have more.
It'll obviously
We'll be
the link in the
linking all of
description.
we'll
Wow.
be linking all of Ankit's socials in the description. He is mostly active on YouTube and Twitter. You can find him on Twitter quite active, and he has Instagram as well. So we'll be linking all three of his socials down below, and that's Ankit for you, and Ayush and I for Football Match Daily. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like this video, and subscribe for more weekly content. We don't do daily yet, but weekly content. Thank you for joining us, Ankit.
Our name is still Football Match Daily for some reason.
Football Match Weekly now.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us, Ankit. It was great having you.
Same.
And thank you for watching.